Welcome to part 2. We're talking about profit first and implementing 5 years later. If you missed part 1, you got to go back and watch it. I'm sorry. We shared some really great stuff there.
We're just opening the door.
The door.
But we didn't want it to go for hours and hours.
Yeah. And what we're going to share today, we didn't want to rush through either because it's super, super powerful. Being able to see your whole financial life on one page that includes both business and personal can be a huge game changer. So we're going to share ours and hopefully inspire you to create your own and see what you find from ours that you want to copy, paste, steal. We're totally game for do it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, again, some of what we've learned and what we've seen is a lot of times people think they know stuff that isn't true. Say, oh, this isn't going to work for me because ... right? And what we've learned in our past, right? And we shared this, how banking yourself has worked for us in over the past 10 years. We were able to show you how it's actually worked for us and what we've been able to do because of it, right? And so if you want to look at that episode, it's amazing. It was just one of our pieces of the pie, one of our policies that we used to do some amazing stuff. Now, since then, we've implemented Profit First. We've done some other things. And so anyway, welcome to Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast, where we believe when conventional financial thinking doesn't get you where you want to go, you need wealth wisdom. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we get into that, I wanted to share a review. So if you can, as you're listening, write a review. I know it's sometimes hard to write on an iTunes review. It's like a trick.
Well, it's now Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts, whatever you call it. I don't even remember anymore. But totally write a review. We might read it here. We appreciate those, even though it's complicated. They really help and hopefully gets into more people's hands. So it says, making wealth wisdom simpler. Amanda and Brandon are a breath of fresh air in a world filled with false gurus and financial experts. We all know who those people are. They're down to earth, practical wisdom about how to become your own banker, pay for college, and plan for worry-free retirement without taking unnecessary risk. It's so desperately needed by families, business owners, and real estate investors. It's so nice to see a happily married couple working together, having fun, and sharing awesome wealth wisdom. Highly recommend. And we've been doing this together. It's helped prevent
Who
fights.
wrote that review? What's the username?
BK126.
BK, just not Burger King, I'm hoping.
No. BKAY.
KAY. Okay. Thank you, BK.
Yeah. So again, really, as we build these things, we want to help people get through the insanity of life to be able to have sanity and in their business, in their personal life, in their marriage, all those areas, and really build true wealth.
Yeah. So what we're about to share on the screen, we do have to warn you, is not something we built overnight.
Yep.
This is something we've been building for 10 years, I would say.
Yep. And
we continue to update it. One of the things we're going to put in the show notes is a couple years back, I think 2020 or 2021, we did an amazing webinar with our good friend, Mark Willis, over the Not Your Average Financial podcast. The link's going to take you to the full 1 hour, 22-minute video where we went really in depth on combining Profit First and Bank on Yourself. And what we're going to show you is one slide of the 20 plus slide deck that we showed in that presentation that we've actually updated. So if you want to see the original from 4 years ago, I guess, or 3 to 4 years ago, watch the video in the show notes. We'll put, I think it's like 53 minutes into that first hour. But we also wanted to give you this update because we have made some changes. So you ready for this? Anything you want to add before we look at it?
And I will add, if you're watching this and you're like, man, I really wish they would do another webinar on that, put it in the comments so we know that, hey, we should do this again.
Yeah.
If we don't
an updated version with new stories and all those things.
So we will put our time and effort into that if you're going to show up to it.
Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we are. This is our legit true story money map. What did I do with my pen? There it is. Here we go.
Yeah, and again, if you're if you're listening to it, she's going to try and explain it.
Yeah.
But if you
even better, go over to the YouTube version.
Yeah, and again, it's a money map. It's our flow. Don't get overwhelmed by it. As you run a business, sometimes it can be complicated. We're just going to try and simplify it for you.
Yeah, we love making things simple, go into the principles of things. So here we go. Okay, so here is our money map. The first biggest circle is revenue. That's where money comes into our money map, right? It's all coming in there. And then it follows a flow from there. And of course, as true profit first professionals, where does it go first? Profit.
Yes.
Right? Number one, absolutely, all the time. And you start at your current allocation percentages, you increase or decrease, but most likely increase to your target allocation percentages. And it's right there in the Profit First book, in our Implement Profit First in 12 Easy Steps online quest as well. You have a percentage that goes there.
Yep. So if you don't have revenue, you don't have a business, I think sometimes, right? We need to have money coming in because you can't do profit first if you have no money.
Yeah. So we got the revenue that goes to profit. Brandon, talk us through where it goes next.
Yeah. So then it goes, of course, to profit first. And then next, pay yourself first. That's an important thing. So it goes to owner's comp. That is to us.
And then
this is the thing I think that's really, really important. A lot of business owners forget that all that money isn't theirs. And so they need to make sure that they put it into a tax hold account or something to make sure that they don't get arrested or something in the future.
Or have to go into debt to pay their taxes every year. Yeah. And then we do number 4, we have added an account, like we talked about in the last episode. We have a payroll and an operating expenses account, and we do that fourth.
Yeah.
We have a set of the target allocation percentage that would go to operating expenses. We take a portion of that percentage that goes to payroll and then a portion to operating expenses.
Now, the reason we added an account was because, again, we're saying, how's it working out for us 5 years later? Well, when we first started our business, we were the only employees, if you will. We were the only staff. And as we've grown, we've had to increase staff to be able to increase the revenue or do all the things. So we added that payroll account the past year or so.
Yeah. And if for us, the revenue, we don't have inventory, right? Stuff like that. So this is our real revenue. If you have mats and subs, you would take that out first before going through this. So you might have yours obviously would look different.
Yeah.
And then of course, the money doesn't stay in the profit account. It moves over to the profit hold, and the money doesn't stay in the tax account. It moves over to the tax hold at a different bank.
Yep.
And so that's why we made these look a little differently. You're right. You see those going. That happens naturally as we go. But we also pay ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of, if I draw a line like this, maybe here, this is where things move from the business to the personal side. There's a very clear distinction tax-wise, liability-wise.
Yep.
But how we like to think about it, we find it really helpful to think about it as a full picture. No,
Yeah.
it's good.
You were looking at them.
Oh, yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our income, right? Our income goes into our bank account. Ta-da!
What income goes into? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's important.
And then what we love is using percentage bases, like on the profit side, to do our personal side as well. So talk us through this, Brandon.
Yeah. So income, we again want to make sure that we are doing the right things first. So we do giving. We are tithers, so we give 10% off the top, no matter what. And so that goes out. And then there's a Richest Man in Babylon book that says 10% of all you earn is for you to keep. So we are doing savings. So just
But it's not just 10% to savings.
yeah, I think a lot more actually, 20 or 30.
Yeah, so we follow grandma's 10-10-10
Yeah.
savings formula that we learned in the Bank on Yourself Revolution book. What the greatest generation literally did, what their budgeting looked like, was setting aside 10% for long-term savings,
Yeah.
10% for medium-term savings, and 10% for short-term savings. So that's 30% total that's going into our savings bucket.
Not into just a savings account or not into investments.
Well, we're gonna get to that.
Into this. And again, going back to the principles of the first idea, tithing, we want to make sure we're taking care of us, just like we are doing with our money to our faith.
Yeah, I was thinking about this actually this past week. I haven't shared this with you. Someone was mentioning putting on like under eye cream and almost as like a joke.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like we're taught as women to start putting on under eye cream and avoid the wrinkles when we're in our 20s is the best. You got to do SPF, you know, like skincare. You got to maintain that youthful appearance as you get older. Why are we talking about our money that same way?
I don't know.
Right?
I mean,
like
yeah.
that pressure, right? To look good as you get older. It's like your money needs to look good as you get older. I was thinking like we do this with so many other things, but we're told enjoy life now, right?
Yeah.
Like anyway.
Which is interesting.
Okay, sorry, off my soapbox. So notice 10% and then 30% to savings. So that means how much do we have left for lifestyle? Do the math.
Oh, 60.
60, yeah.
Yep.
Now, you notice it doesn't stop there. We have this big, old, huge octagon that we're calling it our Bank on Yourself type whole life policies, aka the vault.
The other thing I noticed that you didn't say was a dollar amount. We used a percentage. So as you grow revenue, those percentages may change.
Yeah, all these
Or not
shapes get,
the numbers might change.
yeah, as the circles get bigger, they're all proportional, which they're not drawn to scale here either.
Yeah.
But this is like the biggest one that we want in our lives is these types of policies that are properly structured and are growing our wealth. And you'll notice there are 4 arrows going into this octagon of Bank on Yourself. One of them is our profit hold.
Yep.
Let's come back to that. We also have savings. A
Yep.
majority of that 30% is going into the policy.
Yep.
And then I have this dotted line for lifestyle going into the policy. When we have certain things like we're saving up for a
deck.
dream vacation or a home maintenance, like a deck, those kind of things, something that takes a long time, you know, those bucket list kind of trips, we actually put into the policy first. It's not all of our lifestyle, but with certain things, property taxes, homeowners insurance that are only once a year, those kind of things are going in. Now, not everything goes in as premium. Sometimes it goes in as loan repayment. But we do some lifestyle. And then you'll actually notice there's also tax hold. Brandon, why don't you talk about this one?
Yeah, this is money that we know. We are going to have to give to the government at some point, right? We make decent money, but we have to get it back. So instead of it just being lost and going into a savings account that we get taxed on while it's sitting there, we put it into the policy, the properly designed policy, to then be able to use to pay our taxes whenever it's time.
Yeah. So you'll see this is the money flowing from revenue through profit first into our personal, some of it going into our personal account, and then flowing through these principles of tithing, of saving first into Bank on Yourself. And we do this all in YNAB, right? All these 3 pieces are coming together. And then when there's an opportunity that comes up, where do we get the money to pay for that opportunity? Do we have to go into debt? Charge it to a credit card, get some money from a bank or a private money lender in the form of a loan? What do?
We use the policy.
We take a policy loan, which works very, very differently. We don't have time to get into that today. Reach out to us if you want to hear more about how policy loans work. We got lots of information about it. But that's where you see this arrow coming out of the vault and into an investment opportunity. This is real estate. This is other things that we do to help build our wealth.
Maybe our own business.
Even our own business, and strategically funding marketing or equipment for our office, even this vibe board, stuff like that. And so we do have that it comes out as a policy loan. It goes into a special growth fund. If you watched our last video, you saw we have this growth opportunities category in our YNAB. This one isn't a separate bank account yet, but maybe as our buckets all grow, we do that to keep it separate and be more intentional about it, which I want to come back to that too. And then of course, as we're putting into the special growth fund, what should that drive? If we've made good decisions, if we've used the money properly, what should that drive?
Revenue. Or more money coming in.
Right. And so now we get the cycle, the feedback cycle, the growth cycle of how this money flows through and then how it gets reused.
Yeah.
Not reduced, reused, recycled into making the system run really well without having to depend on outside resources that may or may not be there.
Yeah.
And of course we can use those when it's to our benefit, but we don't have to.
Well, and I will hear people already saying, well, wait, that's not going to work for me, or this is too complicated, or the investment, the loan feature, it does this or that. Now, what we've learned, and it works for us, is by putting it through the policy. Again, using the policy is not an investment. It is never saying that. It is a place to store our wealth as we
make like calling it the vault.
The vault, right? And then if we are putting it in our tax hold account that we know we have to pay taxes on it, we just captured that money for future use. And then what Nelson Nash, the founder of Infinite Banking, says is don't steal the peas from your own grocery store. So as I borrow, right, as we are business owners, we borrow money, right? We do that all the time, and we're like, oh, it's okay, the bank will do this or that. We just happen to be the bank in this position. Now, again, we're borrowing from the insurance company. It's a loan with them, and our policies are the collateral, right? The cash value is the collateral. But I like to have those options. And what we did with this, for example, is we used the bank yourself policy, the vault, to do an office. We bought a office condo, that we were able to use a policy loan to do half of the mortgage here. And then our business pays us rent, which lowered our taxes.
That reminds me, I need to draw a new line.
Oh yeah, what is that line?
So an office rent is what? An operating expense.
Yeah.
So let me do this in a different color.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we just, again, as it's growing, it's building, right?
We have from operating expenses, the rent is it what's going to be in blue on the screen is going, guess where?
Oh, back to us.
Straight back to the vault, that where we took the money out of to purchase the property that the business now pays us rent instead of our former landlord rent. And we're of course going to use that to refill the bucket we took it from, first and foremost. But then when it's refilled, what are we going to do with it? We're going to keep paying premium. We're going to keep funding. We're going to keep growing the vault so that guess what? We can do more. We can buy a bigger office. We can provide offices for other people, whatever it might be. Sorry.
Yeah. And sometimes people might say, well, I want it as income. I want to increase. Maybe you could do that. It doesn't really matter. It could go straight there. We just don't need it. So.
Right. We could use it to pay, for groceries if we wanted to. Yeah. But for now, it's going back.
And the reality is we have control over this, and we're able to use the policies or banks, if you will, to have better terms, right? Yeah. Even using our policies, our debt to credit ratios are different, and all of that stuff.
Doesn't jump on a credit report. Yeah. So, all those things. Yeah. The other thing I want to talk to you is the people who are just getting started. You have a business that's maybe scaling. You're in growth stage right now, and you're saying, I need to plow all my profits back in. How could I do, this where it comes to being income, and then I put it into a vault and I put it back in. And what I would encourage you to consider, you don't have to do all of this. You have to do it specifically how we do it. But if you did something like this, one, it would likely build a habit that you can carry into your future as your business is growing. It's a lot easier to continue it when you've been doing it for a while than to do a 180-degree turn and start it all from scratch when it's growing. So consider what habits you're building by how you're in working your money in this growth stage. So that's one. Secondly is consider, would you be more intentional with how you reinvest if you did see this kind of flow go through with your money, and you were taking a policy loan from money that's your vault, that's there for your future, and you're using that as collateral to take this policy loan to then reinvest in the business to help it grow. That's what we are doing here with this reuse and recycle the money. But think, if it was never going through this stage, are you maybe reinvesting wastefully? Would you be more intentional? Consider that, both the habits that you're building and the intentionality that you want to be bringing to your financial life.
Well, and again, I want to go back to that episode we did, 10 years later episode, right? We started at what we could do, which was very small. This is 10 years later and multiple other policies as we've grown and built and amplified. Right? So
policies.
So we've had multiple, and we were able to, because we were intentional with the money, we're able to grow and develop, right? And have a team, a bigger team, and continue. So because of those things, we're able to weather storms, we're able to overcome obstacles and take advantage of opportunities, and we continue to do that. All the while, we're able to use that cash that we've accumulated. Again, we're borrowing from the insurance company. It's their money as a loan, right? And people are like, yeah, but it's your money, all that crazy stuff. But really, it is more about having control on a contract. And that is the power of this, right? So I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, I'm going to stop the screen share and let's wrap up. Okay, now, if you're feeling overwhelmed, take a deep breath with me. Okay, yours is going to look different. This takes time to build. We've actually, as we've been building, we've been finding ways to build more efficiently where it doesn't take a lot of time. We've been finding ways to create shortcuts, and we have those tools, those shortcuts, those efficiency spreadsheets, all those kind of things available for you. We actually call it Implement Profit First in 12 easy steps. We wanted to create the easy button for how you could take this big idea of putting your profit first and the principles there and the steps Mike walks through in Profit First, and actually make it super simple. So it's available right now at wealthwisdomfp.com/profit. Watching this at 3 a.m. You can watch the videos that are in there. It's a series of 12 10-minute videos with homework in between to implement. You could do it in 12 weeks. You could do it in 12 days, right? However quickly you want to go. Or slowly.
Yeah. Also, with that, Amanda has created the book. If you go to wealthwisdomfp.com/shop, you'll be able to get 5 Smooth Stones, which is a really great resource that's tangible, that goes along with that Profit First quest.
Yeah, go do that. We're super excited for how, so you can just do it all on your own, but we also offer things within that quest that if you do want some more hand-holding, we're here to help you through that process as well. And those are only available to people that are going through the quest. So there's some Easter eggs, some nuggets in there that I think you'll appreciate as you go. Okay.
The main thing I want you guys to get is we want to see you succeed. Business is hard. It is a challenge, and oftentimes we are spinning our wheels like hamsters. We want to help you get off of that and build the life and business that you want.
Yeah, and that's we believe that your personal finances should not suffer because you chose to start a business.
Yep.
And we want to invite you to build those habits from wherever you're starting to carry you into your future as your business grows, as you experience success. We want you to feel that success. And that's ultimately 5 years into full on implementing profit first. We can say our business has grown. We're feeling the success of that growth. If we're not building some cash eating monster that just keeps getting bigger and bigger because we've updated these habits, we're actually able to keep that monster under control, tame it, and make it work for us rather than be something that's trying to eat us alive.
Yep.
So thanks for joining us. As we always say, we hope you live long and profit.
The topics presented in this podcast are for information use only and not for the purpose of providing legal, accounting, or investment advice. On such matters, please consult a professional who knows your specific situation. If you want to talk to us on your specific situation, reach out. We love to help.
We'll see you next time.